Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Victor of Cars Jubilee. Today we're going to take a look at fuel savings in terms of how much I've saved in 6 months, and then we'll also do a projected 1 year savings in terms of not having to pay for gas for my GV60 plus my Ioniq 5. So let's get to it. One really easy way just to see how much I've saved is to just pull up my Electrify America app. And I'll do that. I should be showing it somewhere here or all over here. And since I only charge at Electrify America, my current 6 month savings essentially is this. This is how much I've spent in gas and electricity combined, because we're basically not driving our gas car. All we're driving is our GV60 and our Ioniq 5, and over the past 6 months, this is it. Albeit we just got the GV60 not long ago. Also, my wife is a teacher, so that means she's been mostly not driving much over the past few months. So over a projected 1 year, we're going to drive probably about 18,000 miles. So that's why I want to do this 1 year projection. Let's start with some current numbers. I've got 6,700 miles on my Ioniq 5, and I have 1,200 miles on my GV60. And that translates to 1,878 kilowatt hours of charging to date, and that's over the course of 56 charge sessions Electrify America. Now, I think I want to break it down using a 1 year projection just to make it easier to understand the cost savings over a full year. And here are some of the numbers that I'm going to use. Number one is 18,000 combined driven miles. Now, my wife is a teacher, so once school starts, her driven miles will actually go up, and that's kind of where I'm going to get that 18,000 miles from. Previously, we were both driving Volvo SUVs. I had my XC60, she was driving the XC90, which we still have, but we were both daily driving those cars. The XC60 got about 15 miles per gallon, the XC90 got about 16 miles per gallon. Now, I do the majority of the driven miles, meaning I account for about 2/3 of that 18,000 mile number. So just to make the calculation easier, we're going to use 15 miles per gallon. Now, in terms of cost of fuel, well, both of our cars at that point needed premium fuel, and obviously gas prices have risen, and they've started to come back down a little bit. But we saw as low as $3.86 according to AAA's yearly tracking, but then also as high as $5.12 per gallon. So I'm just going to use $4.50 as the average. Now, for calculation purposes, we're going to do 18,000 miles divided by the 50 miles per gallon average, and that turns into 1,200 gallons of gas used over the course of 1 year for our family. Next, we take that 1,200 gallons and we multiply it by $4.50 per gallon, which we would have spent. So that breaks down to $5,400 of gas. That's quite a bit. Now, you might be saying, well, technically aren't you paying for charging for these EVs? Well, actually, I'm not, because the GV60 comes with 3 years of free EA charging, the Ioniq 5 comes with 2 years of free EA charging. But anyways, let's just say I had to pay for charging. Well, at the current 8,000 miles driven, and according to the EA app, that's about $350. Now, what if I projected it for 1 year of charging at Electrify America? Well, the 18,000 miles would translate to about $800 of charging, which again, not that bad. Well, what if I didn't have access to EA charging? Or what if I was only charging at home? Then we have to look at how much I get billed for electricity. Now, my energy provider, Pico, currently charges just over 14 cents per kilowatt hour. And that's just a combination of a distribution charge, a generation charge, and a transmission charge. Now, there's a fourth charge that some people may or may not factor in, that's the customer charge. Customer charge is essentially a fixed fee no matter how much energy I use. Meaning, if I live here and I have service, even if I wasn't charging my cars, I would still be paying that flat fee, which in this case is $10.41. So up to you whether you want to factor that in, but for the first calculation, we'll just ignore the customer charge. So essentially I would need 4,226 kilowatt hours of electricity, and at the current Pico rates I would have paid $611 for 1 year's worth of charging for both cars for 18,000 miles. Now let's say, okay, you want to use that customer charge and bake it into this number. Well, that only raises it by $125. So if we're factoring in the customer charge along with all the distribution charges for 1 year, then I'm still only paying $736 to charge both cars at home. So essentially, worst case scenario, I saved $4,664 in fuel savings. And that's a lot. At least for our family, I think it was worth it. You know, you combine the $7,500 federal tax credit that I'm getting for each car here, plus that roughly $5,400 in fuel savings because I have free EA charging, especially thanks to this one, which is going to give me 3 years of free charging. And then you factor in how well these EVs are holding value, and I think things are going to look pretty good from a cost perspective at the 1 year mark. So looking forward to actually running those numbers again when I reach the 1 year mark to see how they compare with my current projection. Now, one really interesting thing that I did not expect was just how close the cost would be between charging at home versus charging at Electrify America. Looking at either $800 at Electrify America or $611 or $726, depending on how you want to use the calculation if we were charging at home. And that's really close for just 1 year's worth of charging. So I think, at least in my area, that means that even if you don't have access to level 1 or even level 2 charging at home, you're going to save a bunch of money even charging at Electrify America. So anyways, I just wanted to share these numbers with you guys. Our family honestly falls below the national average for total miles driven, and I've seen some Ioniq 5 owners who do Lyft or Uber, and they've got 20,000 miles driven already in just a few months. So the savings in fuel there must be amazing. But anyways, let me know in the comments section below, how much have you guys saved by going electric? Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.